invite you to join us for the 32nd Annual Graduate Symposium in Renaissance Art, an event that's free and open to the public, and that will be held at our Florence campus on Thursday, November 29th, 2018, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. At the symposium, our graduate students will present the results of their year-long capstone research projects in individual 20-minute papers. The event will also be broadcast via live streaming. Details on how to connect will be available closer to the date, so please check the Facebook page of the Florence Graduate Program in Renaissance Art and the homepage of the Syracuse University Florence website. Here's a preview of what our graduates will be talking about on November 29th.
My research focuses on two painted portrait sketches by Sienese artist Domenico Beccafumi. These date to roughly 1530 and were likely models for his Sala del Consistero frescoes in Siena. Technical analysis of these sketches reveals that Beccafumi used a combination of both egg tempera and oil on paper. In contrast, by the mid-1500s, Central Italian painters had largely abandoned tempera in favor of oils. Further, virtually all works were on wood or canvas supports. So why, in the 1530s, would Beccafumi have used the less popular medium of tempera in preparatory works, and why on paper? Through quantitative analyses of the artist's painted oeuvre and a sample of his Sienese contemporaries, I discovered that while 16th century use of the medium decreased, Beccafumi's markedly increased throughout his career. With the help of period texts and conservation reports, my research proposes that Beccafumi selectively exploited tempera in his preparatory studies as a means to capture and study the effects of light. It contributes to a more complex understanding of Beccafumi's ostensibly experimental, though understudied, working practice.
The 16th century was a period of dramatic social, political, and scientific transformation in Florence. My capstone views these changes through the incredibly detailed oil wall paintings of a scrittoio, or small study, in the Palazzo Vecchio mezzanine. The scrittoio was painted by Bachiacca in the early 1540s for Duke Cosimo I de' Medici, shortly after the Medici made the Palazzo Vecchio their official residence. Interestingly, these naturalistic paintings feature local plants and animals, the presentations of which range from whimsical and allegorical scenes to botanical and zoological studies. My capstone not only adds to the scientific identifications of species painted within the scrittoio, but also contextualizes these murals within the scientific developments of the period and within Cosimo's cultural and political endeavors as a new Duke of Tuscany.
My talk will focus on a portrait medallion of Francesco I de' Medici, the second Grand Duke of Tuscany. The medallion is unique because it is made from Medici porcelain, the first soft-paste porcelain produced in Europe, manufactured from 1575 to 1587 under Francesco's patronage. The question guiding my research has been, why make a portrait medallion from such a unique and fragile material? Through an analysis of primary texts present at the Medici court, I suggest that in the 16th century, true porcelain was considered a kind of gemstone. Recreating this natural material in his laboratory was a display of power for Francesco, who was renowned for his chemical experimentation and his predilection for crafting false gems. My research places Francesco's medallion within a context of princely hardstone portraits and 16th century natural philosophy, offering new insights into the history of European porcelain from its earliest inception in Medici Florence.
For my capstone topic, I chose to research the print Land of Cockaigne, made in 1564 by Nicolò Nelli. The legendary land of Cockaigne is a gastronomic utopia, where food is continuously produced and work is forbidden. Nelli depicts interesting details, such as roasted poultry falling from the sky, cooked fish jumping out of the water, and a giant mountain of grated cheese. Although the legend of this fictive place dates from as early as the mid-13th century, it first emerged in the 1560s as a subject in Italian visual culture. My research proposes that Nelli's moralizing depiction of Cockaigne was influenced by the Swiss woodcut, the praised, depicted Schlaraffenland, made around 1547 by Jacob Clusar. As a result of this borrowing of northern imagery, Nelli's print became the primary visual example for later sequential Cockaigne prints produced in Italy.
My research examines a collection of prints called Isole famose, or famous islands, compiled by the Venetian printer-publisher Giovanni Francesco Camocio in the early 1570s. What first inspired me to study this isolario, or island book, is that it contains illustrations of battles and sieges on maps. For instance, in this map of Nicosia, we see that the printmaker has plotted troops, artillery batteries, encampments, and fortifications, offering a comprehensible understanding of spaces in conflict. Even more fascinating is the way in which these prints subvert their ostensible message. Although a print may depict an Ottoman victory, like this map of Zara, it includes text like al presente or at present to suggest the temporary nature of this loss to Venice. My paper, therefore, demonstrates the ways in which Camocio's Isolario rewrote histories of conflict for the sake of the Venetian public.
Previous scholars have asserted that Salvator Rosa's scene of witchcraft was intended to be shocking for its unique shock value alone. The scene is rife with witches in various states of undress, their male companions, and even human remains, and it is irrefutably strange. However, upon closer examination, we see that the artist has also included a series of objects and figures which allude to contemporary social tensions. These tensions resulted from an increased interest in the nighttime social sphere and the perils and pleasures to be found there. Now, Rosa believed that one should pursue rational knowledge over worldly pleasure, and, in a similar way, this painting exposes the destruction wrought by pursuing pleasure over reason. My research thus explores how the scene reflects the artist's intellectual ideals by visually connecting contemporary behaviors to the obviously strange actions of the witch.